Hi everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem and we're hopping back over to our August Upcrate to do our Upcrate battle, which is childhood dreams. I'm not really confident with my idea and to be honest I haven't given it too much thought, I will openly admit that. And I was also really interested to hear your take on these supplies. So I want to thank everyone for their comments under the unboxing video. And it seems I am not alone with my assessment of these watercolour pencils and also the masking fluid as well. So we're not going to have any expectations today. We're just going to try and see what happens and just do our best and try and have a little bit of fun along the way. I say this quite often, it's not always about creating great art. As long as you're enjoying yourself, for most people like me where art is a hobby and it's not your primary income stream, it's all about having fun. So let's go and let's see what we can do. I do have a little story about these pencils, which I'll tell you as I'm sketching out my idea. They are actually very well travelled. I'll explain a little bit more about this artwork in just a little while. So I'm going to need my eraser, definitely. And I'm going to start with this H pencil and sketch out my idea. So at the weekend I was away visiting family, and it was Mr. Jem's family, which there's about 1 million of them, and we had this great big party. We had to travel down to the south of Scotland, so about as far away from us as you can get, so it's a pretty long journey. I took my sketchbook and my pencils with me because I wanted to try out a couple of ideas because I knew I wouldn't necessarily have time during the week to, you know, sort of brainstorm or brain fart or whatever you want to call it. So took my pencils and everything with me, and at said get together was my little niece who is 2, she's just turned 2, and her and I ended up doing some drawing together. She approved greatly of the sketch paper in my sketch pad. It was really funny. She'd been scribbling away on copy paper with just like a normal pencil and a ballpoint pen. So when I brought my sketchbook out, I actually tore a page out my sketchbook to give to her, and she looked at me and she went, "Oh, that's nice paper," which sent me into absolute hysterics because you all know what I'm like with my paper. It was very funny. Anyway, because of that, because I was trying to sketch for this prompt, I had taken the pencils, the watercolour pencils, down in my pencil case with me, in my normal sketching pencil case, and I left 3 of them behind by accident. I didn't realise that my niece had them and left them sitting. I just thought they were all back in the pencil case. So my sister-in-law ended up having to post them back up to me, and they've arrived. So we've made it. We're in one piece. Everything will be okay. So well-travelled watercolour pencils. When talking about childhood dreams, one of the things that I used to do a lot when I was young was I used to read under the covers at night when I was supposed to be asleep. So I would read in bed because I was always allowed to do that, but when I was supposed to put the light out, I used to get a torch and, you know, sit with the duvet over me, especially if it was a really exciting book. And I used to really like things like Nancy Drew mysteries and that sort of thing. I was a very avid reader, still am. So I did it under the duvet with a torch so that if my mum and dad were walking past the bedroom door, they wouldn't see a light on. So that's where the basis of this prompt is coming from for me. Now, what does that have to do with childhood dreams, you ask? Well, quite often, whether it was wise or not, I used to read things like Stephen King novels and then end up giving myself nightmares. So yeah, there's that. A rebellious and misguided youth is what I say. So one of the other things from my childhood that's prompted this as well, along with the reading of Stephen King when perhaps I might have been a little bit too young to, is the fact that I have always lived in old houses. Even my childhood home was a drafty old cottage. My parents still live there now and it's still drafty. And Papa Jem, my dad, he has a terrible fear of spiders. He is not good with spiders. And as a child, that kind of transferred onto me. I had this sort of irrational fear of spiders because I obviously saw it in my father. Now, when you live in an old house, as I'm sure many of you have done or do, then you will know that you will have a healthy population of spiders. It was always my mum that used to come and get rid of them for my dad and for me as well, because I was absolutely terrified as a child. Weirdly, I don't know how it happened, I don't know why it happened, but I just kind of got over it. But as a child, having a spider in my room was a big deal. It was like, there's nobody going to bed like until someone gets rid of this. These days, it's me that gets rid of the spiders for Papa Jem. He's much better, but if there is someone else to remove a spider for him, he will ask them to do so. And when he comes to stay here at the cave, we live in a big old drafty farmhouse. Yeah, I have to do a lot of spider removal. We are quite happy, Mr. Jem and I are quite happy for them to be here, because in the summer we have a huge problem with flies, so spiders are our friends. All of the spiders in our house are called Boris, and we let the Borises live a peaceful and hopefully a very full-stomached life. But as a child, yeah, me and spiders were not friends. As a child who reads a lot with an overactive imagination at the best of times, the spider thing was quite a big deal, so that's why I wanted to make that part of this picture too. Thankfully here in the UK we don't have a huge problem with poisonous spiders or anything. You know, hats off to you guys that live out in places like South Africa, Australia. Yeah, we are really lucky in that sense, but they're just big and they're fast, so I can understand why people don't like them. And for me, being in bed with a book, especially with the covers over your head, that's a safe place. Now the rule in this house is if anything's been on the floor, you shake it out. You know, like blankets, or if you've got a t-shirt or something that's been lying, you always give it a bit of a flap just in case there's something in there. I really wanted a yellow pencil for the torchlight under the blanket here, so I'm going to substitute that for the orange and hope that we can water it down enough and do okay with it. And I'm going to keep the darker colours, so the sepia, the blue and the purple, I'm going to keep that for the sort of periphery, which leaves me with the red and the green, which I'll probably incorporate a little bit maybe into this blanket here, and we'll take it from there, we'll see how it goes. So I'd be really interested to hear if there's something that maybe you were scared of as a child and you're not now, or maybe you are still scared. I think spiders is quite a common one, and truthfully, like I don't really understand, because a lot of the times, and my mum used to say all the time, the spiders are more scared of you than you are of them. After the discussion about what's allowed for the Upcrate battle, they do mention paintbrushes. So even though I have this mop brush, which I may or may not use, truthfully, I am going to employ my little water brush here. I mentioned this in the unboxing video. This is a Zig H2O brush. And there's nothing but water in here, so I think I'm going to employ that, because that's going to give me some better lines and things for what I'm trying to achieve here. I am just going to mask off some tiny little bits. Again, I don't have much faith in this masking fluid, to be honest, but seeing as this is supposed to be a nighttime scene, I'm just going to put a couple of little dots around various parts of the drawing to look a little bit like stars. And if it doesn't turn out, I can always just fill them in with a little bit of white Posca or something afterwards. So in order to get this where I want it, I want to start with the light source. Now my thinking is, because I've got an orange pencil and my little person here is obviously tucked under the covers, I'm thinking maybe if the blanket was red, if you were to have a normal torchlight shining under that, it's going to make it look quite orange. So that's kind of my workaround for it. So I want to start from the light source there. So we've got the torch in here, and that's going to cast a light underneath this blanket, which is probably going to be at its brightest. So I just want to put that in first. Now the good thing is we can build this up as we go, so if it's not intense enough, then we can add more to it, that's not a problem. I was really interested in all your comments about the paper situation. And obviously, I think Upcrate actually had posted something regarding the paper as well. Now, you saw from the unboxing, if you haven't seen the unboxing video, I'm going to link it down in the description and also stick it in the end card as well. I did try with other paper. I tried with the Strathmore 400 paper, and I got on a little bit better, but not significantly better. So I'm not really sure what to make of that, to be honest, but we're just going to see how we go here. So I've deliberately picked these proportions as well and made the bed quite small in relation to the rest of the image. That's obviously to emphasise the fact that this is a small person. So I'm going to start with the bed posts now. And I'm thinking about the light source. It is going to be quite diffused, but I don't necessarily have to go for, you know, all the traditional rules here. And again, I'm going to use a little bit of this red. Give us a brownish colour. So again, knowing that this won't necessarily completely blend out, I'm trying to use that to my advantage in terms of the actual feel of the picture. And I'm really going to have to go in hard with this sepia as well. So I'm thinking that I will not wet this out. I'm just going to use this as a pencil. I'm trying really hard not to put my hand in the masking fluid as well when I'm doing this. I just kind of feel that when I'm working out this pencil with water, I seem to be losing a lot. Like, this is really, really pale. I'm going to have to build that colour up quite substantially. I'm super glad that I have got this water brush. I'll bring that down a little bit. So really I'm just mixing the orange and the sepia here. To have a bit more definition in the edge of my blanket here now that I've got this bed frame finished. Well, say finished, it's not finished, but it's more finished. And I think I'm going to use purple for the carpet, so I'm going to lay a bit of that down first. But again, I want to think about the shadow, and obviously there'll be a bit of light cast down onto the floor here, but we need to get these shadows right to keep the atmosphere. I think I'm going to be filling my spiders in the same way as I've done the actual silhouette of the child. I'm going to kind of discount them just now and just fill them in afterwards, because obviously with that sepia pencil I can go over everything just as is. So we're going to have this halo of purple round the bed, and then it's going to recede back into this sepia as well. So I'll start the sepia over here. So I think I'm just going to test out with this purple part first and see how this goes, because that's quite a bright colour. So I kind of want this to be murky, that's the thing. Blend this out round here. See, I may even put the shadow back in just with the pencil. You know, define it a little bit, and that is the good thing about doing this. We don't have to go and grab other supplies. Okay, so we're a considerable amount of time in. I've been sitting here for at least an hour, and this masking fluid is not dry. It's tacky. Some of it's come off completely. That I think I must have put my hand in it, but it's not dry. So with the bed now, if I turn this upside down, I've kind of put myself in a position here. I can start working on really getting some shadows in here and some really dark areas, especially down this bottom part of the bed. And this is going to be fairly dark down here as well. Oh well, that was a mistake. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. To blend that out. Oh, see, I could really do with more orange in there as well. Oh, this is not going well at all. Right, my plan for this background was to do as I've done with the floor part here, and make a sort of almost like a vignette round here with the blue and the sepia. This pure sepia pencil's taking a beating, and I think it's going to take a lot more than I thought it would. I am going to try and use the wash brush for this though, so we'll just see how this goes. So I'm starting with the blue. I'm kind of worried because I'm not able to fully get rid of my, this masking fluid's just in the way. Because I'm not fully able to get rid of my pencil strokes, as we've demonstrated a couple of times, I'm not really sure how this is going to go. But I'm going to start it off here. The paper will take a couple of passes of water, so I don't have to be concerned about building it up. In terms of getting the colour intensity that I want, I think I'm going to have to go a lot harder than this, but I just want to get some coverage just to get an idea for myself how far, how close to the bed I'm going to take this colour, because I think I want it fairly close, especially on this side, because obviously the headboard's going to be blocking a lot of the light. Okay, let's grab the mop brush. I might regret this. It's actually lifting more off the paper. It's like, if I go back and forth, it's lifting the pigment off the paper and actually making things lighter, and here's a prime example of that. Okay, there we go. At least we can say we've used it. This paper seems to be really slow for drying time as well. That's still wet in there. That should not be wet by now. And see, the other thing as well is I've got this section under here which technically should be really, really dark. Right, let's try a tiny bit in here. So I'm going to put down a lot of pencil here. And then I'm going to go over with the sepia. This really is an experiment for me today. And let's see what happens when I... Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. That's the kind of depth I'm talking about. I mean, I'm absolutely, like, I'm 100% going to decimate these pencils doing this. But to be honest, I don't care for them much. So I'm kind of okay with that. So there's going to be a little bit of light down the side of the bed. I'll keep the sepia to the bottom half here. So I'm just gonna hack away at this surrounding area now that I know that this is, to get this depth, I'm gonna have to go fairly hard. So hopefully I can soften this out around this edge enough. I do need it to be really dark around the edges so that my spiders can emerge. One of the things that this supposed to be nice about using watercolour pencil is that you can be quite wayward putting the pencil down because it's the water and the brush that's supposed to do the work, and I just feel I'm not going to get that enjoyment out of this. I feel as if, especially with this surrounding area here, I'm having to be really careful because I know I'm not necessarily going to get rid of all these pencil lines. Now again, that's not just because of the pencils, it's the paper as well, but it's a little bit infuriating, to be honest. And this poor sepia pencil, and the nice thing, I mean, these pencils, to use as pencils, they are nice and they're quite soft, but I'm wearing down the tip, especially doing things like this. I mean, normally I would just do this with watercolour, which brings me back to my previous point of not really seeing the point in watercolour pencils. Yeah, the point's getting worn down really quickly here. I feel like a 5-year-old just scribbling away, so I actually feel like my niece. The point's getting worn down fairly quickly. So, you know, this is not really built for stuff like this. I always think that watercolour pencils are more suited to, you know, delicate details and, you know, light washes and all that kind of jazz, but I don't know. What do I know? Oh, I've got Pippi here. Thanks, Pip. So I'm going to try and use the wash brush. Again, I'm not convinced that this is the best idea, to be honest. The paper's not coping well with the wash brush either. The pass that I did over here, I think I went over most of that twice, and the paper's buckled and it's still damp. It's nowhere near dry. See how we go. But I know, see, this is just, it's not taking the lines out, and this is exactly what I didn't want. There's no joy in this for me because I'm having to work really hard to get close to what I want, and I feel as if I'm not going to get there. The advantage is, I suppose, we can go on top of this and maybe try and sort things out. I mean, I'm not trying to extinguish every single stroke, but I want to get, say, that sort of vignette feel, so I need to be able to do this to some degree. But I can tell you right now, this is far too light. I want this to be a lot darker here. Okay, so you can start to see, I'm starting to get that atmosphere. It's nowhere near where I want it to be, but it's starting to come together a bit now. Everything's just far too light. So what I want to do now is I'm going to let this dry completely. Because I've used the wash brush, it's pretty soggy, you can see. So we're nice and dry now. The paper hasn't buckled too badly. And I'm just gonna, basically I'm just trying to make this as murky as possible now. So really working that sepia pencil. And my masking fluid is coming off just because I'm going over it with pencil. And again, that's kind of to be expected. I can't really say much about that. But I'm really having to go some here. I'm actually kind of reluctant to re-wet this. I'm actually quite enjoying the texture of the pencil around these edges though as well. So that's another reason I'm kind of reluctant to re-wet it, because I'm going to lose some of that. Okay, I've decided I'm not going to re-wet this. I'm just going to take the texture as it is. It kind of gives that childish feel to it as well. But also I'm kind of done. To be honest, I'm kind of done. I'm going to sharpen up this sepia pencil now, and I'm going to put in the spiders. Because these pencils are soft as well, I'm not getting a really sharp edge. I would like a much sharper edge, but we will go with what we've got. I have colour transfer everywhere as well. I don't know if I can erase this. It's just not going my way today, guys. Right, I think I'll just pop this under my hand here. While I'm doing this, I'm sitting here thinking, how many legs are too many? Oh dear, I think less is more in this situation, because this guy's clearly on the attack. Maybe this is his helper or something, I don't know. But yeah, how many legs is too many? Who knows? I just want to darken this down again. you know, get that really nice idea that they're coming out the shadows here and make this as murky as possible. I really want to, there we go. I was trying to get that bit of masking fluid off as well. It was bugging the life out of me. I don't know. Maybe you can answer the question in the comments, how many legs is too many? For those of you that don't like spiders, I'm sure the answer to that is 1. Right, I think my masking fluid hasn't done much, so I have got a few dots here and there, but I'm just going to grab a white Posca just to bring them out, because obviously I can't do anything else with it now. Right, let's see what we've got. I've got this little Posca one MR. This is the one I like to use. Give it a good shake and make sure it's working properly. Now this will pick up the pigment. It's just one of those things that you do, but if you let it dry, you can go back over it and it usually comes up quite crisp. And it tends to be the darker the colour, the worse it is, so fully prepared for this. Getting a little bit Posca happy now, but hey, why not? I feel as if I've put in a lot of hard work today, so I feel as if I deserve this last little hoorah here. Trying to concentrate on this darker area here. I think there was supposed to be one there as well that just went horribly wrong. But you can see I'm going back over now and that's them, they're starting to pop out a little bit more. That's the aim of the game. Probably need to go over a third time, but I can do that later. I don't need to do that in the video. There we go. Okay, oh, I've got great big dirty marks in the middle. Yeah, look at my fingers. Ugh. I am stopping there. Well, this has been an experience today, has it not? Final thoughts on the box. This has been a firm no from me this time. There's a few reasons though. The first one is I'm not really into watercolour pencils. I would rather use watercolours and then pencil on top for details or whatever. Secondly, I feel that the paper and pencil combination has kind of let this box down as well. And although the colour palette was nice together, I really didn't spend enough time thinking about the prompt to incorporate all the colours. I've ended up not using that green at all, but no, there's nothing wrong with that, that's fine. And I just felt that the mop brush was a really odd addition to this box, especially again just with the pencil paper combination. So I'm a little bit disappointed. Did I have fun doing this? Truthfully, not really. I felt like this was really, really hard work. I can't say that I am pleased with the result, but I'm satisfied that I've managed to pull something out the hat, and I think that's probably as fair as I can say. The masking fluid I would not recommend. Again, it might perform better on other types of paper. The drying time was really long, and when you're using pencil the way I was, it's not ideal to be using masking fluid anyway. So I reserve judgment for this. I may try it out on other paper, but it's highly unlikely. I like the Schminke one that I use, which is the same format as this, and it works really well and it's really gentle on most types of paper. It behaves well. So yeah, a bit disappointed this time, but I hope that you've still enjoyed this process if you're not scared of spiders, obviously. And I suppose I should really rename that childhood nightmare, shouldn't I? Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I always appreciate it. I would welcome comments down below on this artwork, just what you thought of the process, and also if you've come across some similar things in doing your own Upcrate battle. Stay safe, take care of each other, and I will see you back in the cave on Sunday for another video. Have a great day, everyone, and bye-bye for now.